What's up, everybody? This is another video blog from your favorite bad boy of yoga, Yogi Chris, aka me, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga. As promised, if you've been following my video blogs, there is my picture with Wim Hof. Here, let's bring it down. I'll show you guys. Look. Ha! It's a different me with a beard. And that one's with me and Michael Singer. So I'll hang it up later because I dropped something. And this is a video blog about self-awareness versus power, or the power to visualize and manifest. I just taught the Yoga for Sorcery program, and this is a collaboration with Frank White. And shout out to Frank White for opening up his sorcerers group to my kind of yoga, energy clearing, and being able to sit comfortably for long periods of time. It's also open to the Ninth Limb people, so there's Ninth Limb yogis in there too. There's like 15 people in the group. So twice a week I teach yoga sequencing, some therapeutics. It's a hodgepodge of things. A lot of techniques that are pinpointed at making you able to sit comfortably, to release tension. And a lot of sitting comfortably is balancing your head over your spine without tension. People can kind of erect their posture and pull their shoulders back and chest up and head up, but they create a lot of back tension and different tensions throughout their body to sit so that they have it looks like a straight up silhouette. The silhouette of their body looks like it's in good posture, but anybody with the eyes to see that's been training the body, especially yogis, because they go inwards with the anatomy and things like that, they can see you're tense when you're sitting like that. So the idea is to be able to sit with not a straight spine. It's a metaphor, really. The spine is curved. So the spine's always going to be curved. Even when you sit and it looks straight, your spine is curved. But to sit in a kind of very erect, tall posture with the hips relaxed, giving you a strong foundation and base on the ground or whatever you're sitting on, chair, props, yoga block, blanket, or whatever, and not be tense doing that. To have a balance of forces where forward and back, left, right, twisting, you're at ease. That's going to take releasing some tense muscles like the abs, like the pec minor, some other things. And of course, so many things in the hips. People are really tight in the hips because they're sitting with like parallel thighs, like in a chair, driving all day. And they have really tight inner thighs and things like this. So what I teach are small movements that activate dormant muscles. And the dormant muscles are usually dormant, meaning they're like weak, because on the other side of the joint, their antagonistic muscle is tense. And that tension is turning off the other side of the joint. That's the reciprocal relaxation reflex. So when I contract my bicep, my tricep relaxes. When I contract my tricep, my bicep relaxes. And if you have tight inner thighs, you have weak outer hips. That's just what it is. Or if maybe you have tense on both sides and then you're really stiff. And so you could just stretch, and that can elongate muscles and release a lot of tension. It also will introduce imbalances, because just because your inner thighs are tense doesn't mean they're equally tense or equally strong. They're probably not. And so when you go to do stretches, it's going to start to turn your pelvis, and that'll create problems later. And so I'm teaching, so many little facets to get you there quickly, safely, and without a lot of bells and whistles. I'm not teaching all of the yoga method and vinyasa practices and ashtanga and so many things I'm leaving out. Although as the people ask for, this or that, like handstands, some of the guys wanted hands. And I think handstands is a very good practice for energy clearing. It's so chest opening. It's so strengthening. It's an inversion. It gets you that fear reflex, that panic reflex. You get training in that. There's a lot of really great training in handstand training for yoga and meditation. And so I teach those things. Now, 4 minutes into the video blog, what I wanted to talk about was the difference between power of visualization and self-awareness. And of course, the link is below if you're ready to join. We've got like 50 or so classes already in the library for Yoga for Sorcery. There's I don't teach sorcery, I teach the yoga for it. It's really Yoga for Sorcerers. I need to change the name of the program. And today I gave actually about 20 minutes of talk that I think would be very helpful for anybody in the sorcerers group that practices sorcery or visualization or manifestation. They do also, I don't know what all the sorcerers do. I'm sure they have lots of rituals and different kinds of magic. Frank is a scholar and a world-class practitioner of that. So his people, I'm sure, are becoming world-class practitioners of that. What I'm talking about is one of the sorcerers was asking me about visualization, and I gave my take on it and how yoga plays a role in this, which I've already touched on. It's called equanimity, where you have this like balance of forces and nothing's pulling you left, right, forward, and back. Equanimity in the body. a sort of contentment, which can also be what some people call bliss. Bliss is not necessarily an ecstasy, such an ecstatic feeling. Bliss is in that contentment where you're so tranquil, you're not pushed and pulled by desires, you're not feeling psychologically or emotionally pulled in any direction, and that is very blissful. You'll understand bliss when you achieve a kind of very deep contentment, which does involve the body. If there's tension in the body, that'll pull you off of that contentment. In a lot of cases, sometimes not. But in that contentment, there'll be a lot of spaciousness that comes out, and there'll be a bliss feeling, a very subtle but really permeating bliss feeling. That's where you want to originate your visualization. Where you, the word is intention. You have the intention for an outcome, or you intend a visualization. You introduce that from a state of calmness. And so what I'm teaching so much has to do with the calming aspect, how to release the body so that you sit in a seat of calmness. And this is different than self-awareness. There's the visualization, the sight, the feelings of the outcome, the intention, and that's not the self. The self is the originator. It's this thing behind the mind that it's not really a thing, but it's hard to talk about, but it's the self that ideally we're intending things from the self, but it's probably just a really deep layer of the mind that we're introducing, like the intention of I want this outcome, I want this car, I want this relationship, I want this money, what else do people want? Things that lead to those things. And the ability to visualize an outcome. Now, I gave a lot of techniques in the Yoga for Sorcerers class just now, and I'll talk about it in my Silent Flute program also. If you want any of this kind of mindset and language, the Silent Flute program is also available on ninthlimb.com. And there's a difference between seeing the outcome and getting involved in that material cycle of things. To achieve an outcome, there's going to be some movement of material. There's going to be some interactions that need to happen, more or less. I may need to change myself to get to there. And I'm using the power of my imagination to see from that future space and time backwards towards myself and put the pieces together that get me there. That's like what we're doing with visualization. We're more or less trying to make it unconscious, where if I just think about it enough and make it clear enough and make it habitual enough so that I'm seeing my visual all the time, my ideal of what I want, that I will naturally notice the situations and opportunities in my life to bridge the gap, to get me where I want to go. This is a very high level video blog. And that's like law of attraction. Law of attraction is not that poof, something comes out of nowhere to fit my paradigm. It's I shift my mind so that I notice different things. When I shift my state of mind and I shift my visual of where I'm going, my objective, my trajectory, I will start to drop out things that don't serve my visual. I just won't notice them. They won't be part of my observation. And I'll start to notice things that contribute to where I want to go. That's why when people have like worries and they're entertaining worries, that's also law of attraction. They're thinking about their worries and then they start noticing all the things that justify that worry and not all the opportunities they have to transcend or overcome that. So that is power. That's power in the material world. That's the ability to notice things that piece together a different outcome than the world would have given me if I just laid and done nothing. If I just sit passively, the world wouldn't give me the things that I want. I gotta make them happen. And visualization is making what you want to happen. Versus self-awareness is, it's going to be an understanding that you're not the visualization. It's a deep inner understanding that you're not the visualization, you're not the outcome, you're not the body, you're not the emotions, you're not the thoughts, you're not the energy. You're observing all of these things from a deep, original center of consciousness, like Michael Singer talks about the seat of consciousness. This is Michael Singer right there. The seat of consciousness. And self-awareness is going to be a familiarity that you get with this real you. Michael Singer calls it the indwelling being, the self. And you can be so self-aware and have no practice of visualization. You can have lots of visualization practice and be very good at crystallizing your sight and your outcome and really feeling the outcome and have very little self-awareness. Both will be enhanced when you see them as separate and practice them individually, or at least just notice them as separate things. Self-awareness is this contentment in being void of all of those externals, all of those visuals, all of those outcomes, all of those sensations. And from that place of sitting in the self, your intention is more potent. You're more like Maharishi. I'm about to have a Maharishi picture here. I practice transcendental meditation. From that state, you start to transcend the mind, the individual little you, the mind of you. You forget your body a little bit. You're content. And from there, you're tapping into a cosmic kind of consciousness, the unified field of quantum possibilities. The intention has more potency there to alter your own mind and start to notice those opportunities and whatever. And the practice of visualization can be used to help you find the self, because as you get so invested in that thing, you just keep noticing that you are behind it. You are practicing a technique of the mind to visualize, and the self is behind that. And you feel the visualization is probably something you deeply want and desire, so it's easy to get pulled into it and like really get wrapped up in it. And that's going to make you ignorant of the self. And then you get into the cycles of samsara and, averting pain and avoiding pain and, going towards pleasure. And we do that anyway, but lacking self-awareness, we just kind of we're like a hamster on the hamster wheel. We're on the conveyor belt of life. We're part of the machine when we're the machine of culture when we're doing that. We want to play that game. I do both, right? I do both. Self-awareness so that I always have a home inside. And it's not just like I'm antisocial and not able to interact with the outside. I bring this goodness. This is ninth limb yoga. Self-awareness, and I bring it to the world. All of the benefits of tranquility and comfort within myself, and knowing that I have a stable center in me that can't be touched by the outside, no matter what's happening. Even if they kill me, they can't touch this part of me, the indwelling being. And it gives you a lot of courage. But also not being antisocial, be involved in the world. And we're already visualizing things. We see what we want to eat tomorrow. We see how we want to work out. We see when we want to wake up. We see the kind of girl or guy that we want to be with. We're just not using it as best as we can, getting clear on the visual and seeing it for what it is. It's a mental technique, and I am the indwelling being behind this. Okay, so how are you going to get more advanced in that? Like I said, in the silent flute, I'll teach more visualizations. In Yoga for Sorcerers, I gave some great advice for that. And the ability to sit calmly and with tranquility and practice visualization, this is primarily what I'm teaching in Yoga for Sorcerers. Sitting contentedly, releasing the tension, but with alertness. And of course, self-awareness. I don't teach transcendental meditation, but talking about the self and giving people reminders of the self, especially in the effort of yoga poses. There's so much sensation that will distract you from the self. The effort from stretching and holding your breath and things like that. It has the potential to kind of pull you off the self and just get you involved in the technique of what you're doing. And you don't want to practice with ignorance like that. The practice of yoga is the practice of self-awareness. And then we have all these postures and breathing and whatever that train the mind to be disciplined, train our focus and concentration. But it's ultimately about that self-awareness. And so that's what I wanted to make clear for everybody. It was pretty high level. I was also kind of all over the place. So I hope you found this valuable. The distinction between power in the world, the power to move material and organize it to your will, the power to influence people, like these are externals to the self, versus self-awareness is a familiarity and a comfort with the indwelling being and being in the presence of oneself. Okay? So sign up for Yoga for Sorcerers to get that 50 class package and ongoing twice a week classes. You join the Telegram group. There's a woman's Telegram group and a male Telegram group so that, when you ask questions and, upload videos of your techniques or whatever, it's kept separate like that. And I'll see you on the next video blog. Namaste.